Hi, my name is Keith Cooper of Northlight Images, and this video is about which of these two printers should you buy if you're thinking of getting a 17-inch Epson printer. Now, this is the Epson SC-P900, reviewed that one a while ago when it came out, and this is the newer P5300. Both are 17-inch printers, both are aimed at quite definitely different markets. Now I'm going to go through lots of features comparing the two here. This is quite detailed, and you'll have to excuse me for referring down to some notes I've made and some notes here, because basically there are so many subtle differences between them that I just want to make sure I cover everything. They're both very similar in some respects, and the main respect is they both use the same ink set and the same print head. Now, I'll come later on in the video about the costs of ink use between them. In particular, how much ink do you think you need to use before the cost you pay for this and its ink matches the cost you pay for this and its ink? I'll come back to that later on, but let's go through some of the features. Well, as you can see, obviously, build quality. This is based on the old P5000. So it's a 2016, I think I reviewed the P5000. I've got one upstairs. It is rock solid. It is made for everyday use. It is made for churning out prints all day long. Very solid. Lots of development has gone into it since. The chassis of this is very hefty. Now, when I say very hefty, both from a bulk point of view and also a weight point of view. This, the P900, I can lift up, I can move around, no problem. This 17-inch, say paper goes in the back, stuff comes out the front. With this one, needs two people to move it. This one comes on a pallet. This one, you will need someone to help you get it into your house and get it wherever you want. This one just comes in a box, away you go, you set it up. Now, I've got information on setting up this, setting up this. The setup is broadly similar because they're very similar printers. Similar, I said this one is based on the 5000 though. Yes, this one has the same print head and the same type of inks as this one. So at heart, they're quite similar. You can see the screen here, this one's on. The screen here is very similar to this, the pop-up screen. They're both touch screens. They're both very similar to that. One minor difference, when you're printing on this one, you get a display of the image that is being printing. Oh, and there's a light inside it as well. Whereas on this one, you don't. Other than that, the interfaces are virtually the same. Connectivity's the same. There's no great difference between them. So, build quality. Yeah, some people have said this one, they find this one a little on the flimsy side. Well, it's a bit too heavy to be flimsy, but I know what people mean. If you want robust, hefty printer that really gives you the impression it's going to carry on all day long, doesn't bother anything, this is the one to go for. But as I said, they're aimed at different markets. Now, what about other differences, physical differences? This one is noisy. I really would not want this one sitting next to me in my office if it was running very often. The amount of noise, this one has vacuum system in it, so there are fans. This one is distinctly noisier than that. This is one that was meant to happily go in a home office. And in fact, when you've got everything, all the various bits folded, what comes out of that, when you pop all these away, it's quite neat, it's quite tidy. The plastic top on the top of this, take care with it. This is much easier to mark than this one. Apart from the fact I couldn't lift this one to put it on top of it. I wonder what would happen if I put this one on top of this one. This one would not be happy about it. This one doesn't care, it's rock solid. So, physical differences, yeah, that's one bit. Noise, much noisier, much quieter, even when printing. What about print quality? Well, apart from the fact that print quality is a bit of a vague term that means whatever you want it to mean in many respects, they're essentially the same. Why is that? Because they share the same print head. They have the same ink system, they have the same type of inks, the same inks, and the same print head. What that means is that this one, because of the mechanism in it, is a little faster than this, but only a little faster. It's not as fast as this isn't fast as the P5000. One of the reasons for that is that the print head on this one is smaller. So this one, P5000 has a bigger print head. That puts more ink out at the same time as it's going across, so it covers the paper quicker, it prints quicker. In terms of differences between this and the 5000, differences are relatively small, but the 5000 is definitely quicker than that. This one, I did a print at a very high quality setting, a 17 by 25 print. And it took nearly 20 minutes at the highest setting. This one, I think, would have taken about 25 at that setting. So there's not much difference. This does seem a bit faster, but I don't have detailed measurements, so don't ask me for that. I don't have the stuff there. Now, as I say, a bit faster. Settings, the 5760 on this and on this. So I have found a paper that works better, ever so slightly, at the very highest print settings. Essentially, don't bother unless you really can demonstrate you need it to use the highest quality print settings on either of these. They look better on paper. Well, actually, when the prints come out on paper, they don't look very different. This one, the 1440 high quality setting, is the one I would use for most prints, as I would on one of these. The 5760, almost never. Really doesn't make that much difference. So we've got similarities. What are the differences? I said this is the bulk, this is heavier duty. What about paper handling? Well, this one has far more flexible paper handling, but this one here has no borderless printing on sheet paper. It will do edge-to-edge borderless on sheet, but it won't do end-to-end borderless. There is no borderless printing on sheet paper on this printer. There is on this one. If you want borderless on this, you need to print roll, and because this one has got a built-in paper cutter, this one doesn't, this one will trim off the paper and you'll have borderless sheets that size, borderless prints that size, cut from roll paper. If you want to use sheet paper in this, it works fine. You can use the top load, or you've got a paper tray in this one. Now the paper tray, I'll just pull this out. This one just has A4 plain paper in it. This will take A2 basic photo paper. You can load this up with a pack of A2 photo paper and away you go. It will print just fine. Certainly sort of plain, lighter papers. Heavier art papers, no, I'm afraid you either need roll or you need to put them down the back. This one has no features whatsoever like that. You can load a few sheets here, and this one obviously has a roll adapter as well, but I'll come back to the roll adapter on this in a moment. When I'm looking at this one, I've got a lot of flexibility. Both have a straight through print path, so I can use print on poster board. Problem is with both, on poster board, the poster board goes in the front and it goes right the way through and comes out the back and then comes out again to print. That means you need quite a bit of space at the back for either of these if you want to print on poster board. Now, roll paper. The roll paper handling on this is great. It has a proper spindle, you put a roll of paper on, goes through, it loads it. The loading sequence is very simple. It tells you to push the paper until it beeps, press a button, boom, out comes the paper. You can have it auto-trimmed as it comes out, all sorts of things. With this, you need the roll adapter for it. Now the roll adapter is quite a bit extra size on the back here to take the rolls. You can actually, I've seen this being bundled with the roll adapter. My feeling is that if you really, really want roll paper, you'll get one of these, because the roll doesn't have a spindle on it. It uses rollers. The print surface of the paper rests on rollers and it draws the paper through. This one, roll paper, is an add-on. This one, roll paper, is integral. Roll paper is what this is intended for. It's a solid thing. There are all kinds of adjustments that the roll unit on this can make as well regarding paper tension and stuff like that. But they're all in the settings for when you set stuff up. Both for the media, you can set custom media if you like. Both are very similar. The interfaces between them are essentially the same. So in terms of roll paper, night and day in terms of the difference. In terms of sheet handling, this one works fine. I still prefer this one because this one has a vacuum system. And the vacuum, well, that's why it's so noisy, because of the vacuum system. The vacuum system of this works well. You can adjust it, holds paper flat. It means not once during my testing of this have I had any form of head strike, even when I haven't properly adjusted the head height for thicker papers. It's worked. The front hasn't curled up. Now, with either of these, if you put paper in them that's got a curl on it or it lifts at the front and the edges, you may get problems with it. You're going to get that with any printer, whatever make, if you put paper through that has unwanted curl on it. The curl from the rolls, no problem on this. In fact, this does work fine. If I was just printing, if I was using roll paper on this one, if I was just using a basic photo paper, I would be happy using this, but I haven't got the cutter that this one has got. So this one will trim as well. Whereas this one, you have to roll it out, you have to get the cut, you need to cut things and so. The roll paper is an extra to it. And as I said, this one, it is integral to it. So, one other little bit on this one. If you're using roll paper, there are none of the dreaded pizza wheel marks. Now, you do need to be careful with settings and paper settings and the like. But for roll paper, the roll paper is driven from the back. It's not pulled through by the little wheels at the front here. Does work quite well with that. You can load sheets from the front here. You can load sheets perfectly well on this. In fact, if you're having problems with some of the paper feeding of this, it may well be worth, for thicker art papers for this one, having a look at front loading for them. But do remember, as I said, a big sheet needs to go out the back before it comes back in through the printer. So that's looked at those. This is where I do have to just check my notes here just to make sure there are lots of similarities and subtle differences. Right, inks. Ink costs. This is the first cartridge. This is an 80 milliliter starter cartridge that you get with this. When it's about half full, so you've got about 40 ml of ink in a cartridge when things are initialized on this. I have done lots of prints. I've got several indicating low here, but this is the first one that ran out of the original set. I've done a lot of printing, so it doesn't use up much ink because they're the same, nor does this one. But this one only has 50 milliliters per ink cart. Now, if I take this down, if I lift this up, will that stay there? It does stay there. Here are the ink carts for this. The ink carts for this one are behind these little doors here. You'll notice on this one that the piece of blue packing tape I've left here on the printer, that is purely because the printer is up quite high. If I'm looking over inside it, it's possible that I will push against this and the doors will pop open. If it was lower down, easy to access, not a problem. But do remember that with this, you really do not want with this one, you do not want these print doors springing open accidentally whilst it's printing, because it will stop. It thinks you'll want to do something, want to change inks or something like that. Anyway, here is, just press on that, out it comes. Here is a 50 milliliter. I forgot, it used to be 80 milliliters in the P800, and they kindly reduced it to 50 in this one. So that is a 50 milliliter cartridge. Still a little bit in that. That's the grey ink from the P900, and there is the size of cartridge that you get for this. These, the replacements for them, are 200 milliliters of ink. So there is 4 times as much ink in one of these as there is in one of these. Both have the same sort of feed system, so they're swappable. They have keying on the carts, so you can't put them in the wrong slots. They're very similar there. That one just pops back into that. And then we can pop the lid back down there. So that's that. How much does it cost? Now this is where I do have to have a look a bit at some of the costs here, because the printers obviously cost different amounts. And I'm just going here, you'll have to do your own sums wherever you are in the world and when you know your own prices for these things. So I'm just going for UK prices, recommended prices off the Epson UK website. That's as of early March 2024. These things change, so if this is of interest to you, do your own sums. One of these will set you back £2,175. One of these will set you back £1,086. Now, I haven't included the cost for the roll unit because I noticed they were doing bundles where they're giving away a free roll unit. Draw from that your own conclusions. So we've got a £1,089 difference between this one and this one. If I look at the ink costs for the 200ml carts for this work out at just over 41 pence per milliliter of ink. The ink costs for this one work out at fractionally over 77 pence per milliliter of ink. So that's a 35 pence per milliliter difference in ink price between the two of them. So if you know what the ink price is, you know what size, how much they cost, what the difference is, you divide one by the other, and I find that in terms of, because this one is cheaper to run in terms of using up less, the ink costing less, but the time I have used 3 litres of ink, the two costs between the two will be equalised. 3 litres of ink, what does that mean? Well, that is 15 of these. These, as I said, these come in at about just over £82. So 15 ink cartridges like that. You will have used your cost of printer plus inks will be the same in each printer. Once you use more than that, obviously you're saving money by using this one here. But the break-even point is at about 3 litres. So that's 15 carts of this. However, that is about 60 carts for this. So that is 60 carts, or, because there are 10 carts per thing, that is 6 complete sets of ink, and then your costs will be similar. Now that's quite a lot of prints. Yes, this one will work out cheaper in the long run. Incidentally, for both of these, I would suggest, if you're going to be using certainly this one, maybe less so this one, look at the extended warranty. There's actually not that much difference in cost between the extended warranty for this for 3, 4 or 5 years than there is for this for 3, 4, 5 years. Obviously, check again at your own local Epson as to see what the prices are. So what does this mean? Well, it means that you need to do quite a lot of prints for this. If you're just buying this because you think, oh, bigger print cartridges, and it's going to save me money, it'll save you money if you print a lot. But if you're only printing a few prints a month, it's going to take years and years before the two match on that. Why would you buy this? Well, obviously it's heavier duty. I'm going to suggest is going to give you very good service. Now, it's a new printer. Well, partly new printer because, I say, it's got the print head out of this and the chassis is the 2016 P5000, which they've had loads of those to work on. So that's been, the development of it, the engineering of it is pretty solid. So if you're going to use this a lot, you're going to end up saving money. But that's not what they're really about. This one, to me, wins every day, because to me the ease of use in terms of paper handling and the quality I get from that outstrips this massively. I just think, and remember, there's very little difference, if any, between the actual print quality between them, to the extent that you can take the profiles I've created for this, put the same paper in this, and you can use the same profiles. Now, I haven't checked them precisely. There may be a few subtle differences between them. But in general, printer profiles for this work for this, and printer profiles for this, if you can't find them for this, and you need them, they'll work with this. So they're interchangeable effectively. Now, I await further checking on that. When I have the written review of this one, I will have all the profiles I produced will be available by direct request. Currently there are 26 of them. There may be a few more I'll finish off before this goes back. But I've got all of those profiles. This one works. Yeah, I just like it better. But if I wanted to print borderless, if I wanted to print cards, if I wanted to print small, this is much more flexible. If I was concerned about size, this is much more flexible. Interface differences, minimal. I don't think most people would notice much difference. There's plenty of ink in these. This will give you a lot of prints. But this is one for business or people who don't mind paying the extra and want a better, and it's not a word I like using, a better printer. Only better if you don't mind the bulk, the size, the noise, all of that. So there you have differences between these. Personally, because I value ease of use and other things like that, and I'm not worrying about the ink costs, I'd take one of these. However, if you said, no, far too big, I don't need that, this one ideally needs using every few weeks at most. This one is designed, supposedly, for leaving longer. Now, given they're the same print head and things, that suggests that this one should be far more accepting of being used less. Even so, I would like to print on this every other week, even if it's just a nozzle check. And of course, I've got plain paper loaded in here for just that purpose. Even if it's just that, I would use this one. This one, I still would like to use it fairly regularly. I don't like leaving printers unused if I can help it. But yeah. Is one better? Well, maybe. Depends what you want, really, doesn't it? I hope that's been of use, and I hope, and this is where I pause for a moment, just to check that I've actually covered all the various bits and pieces I wanted to cover in it. Yeah, this one, please. I hope that's been of some interest, though. Let me know any questions. I've got this here just for a short while. This one, literally, Epson dropped this one off for me to have a quick check, to take it back when they take this one back, literally, so I could do this. This one here is no more than just a prop. So, thanks for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel if you find it interesting. As I say, the full review will be coming up of this, and the written review as well, which will have all the profiles and all the technical data and all the stuff like that. But yeah, I've covered it all, I think. Yeah, thanks for watching.